Do you hear me in this microphone? Hi. Hello, digital babes. It's Khalil Kavon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Creative Radio. Today, we are talking about giving yourself grace. And what does this have to do with entrepreneurship or creativity? Well, like, comment, and subscribe, and find out right after this intro break. So you see, I am holding my mic today because I need y'all to hear me in this microphone, okay? I need y'all to hear me, right? Give yourself grace, okay? Let's take a moment and let's just breathe. A lot of you have not given yourself grace. Creative, entrepreneur, human, you have not. And this has been a lesson for me as of lately. And not even a lesson, more of a subject that has come up. And I'm like, wow, give yourself grace, because there are so many different things that I've been through. There are so many different parts of my story that I'm realizing I have to give myself grace. Like, I think for a lot of entrepreneurs and creatives, because you are servicing people and you are making an impact on humanity, a lot of times you feel like you can give yourself grace. So first, let me not even say you. Let me start with me. There have been times that I have felt like I couldn't give myself grace because I was such in this superhero mode of, well, I have to show up for the people, or, this and the other. I've showed up for people for so long. How do I even give myself grace? And I'm realizing giving yourself grace is realizing that there are situations that were out of your control, but because you are still here and because you are still doing what you need to do and because you still show up, you're giving yourself grace. Instead of repeating the same story over and over and over and over and over again, by saying today is a new day, today is a new chapter, today is a new story to write, versus repeating the same thing over and over. I'm telling you, I was listening to a conversation and it was like me being mirrored back to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this how I was sounding? Saying the same story over and over and over again that you cannot change, because the past is the past. I know that's so easier said than done, but it gets to a point where you have to give yourself grace and say, you know what? I didn't show up in that area. I didn't know about that. Or I didn't even have knowledge in that area. But now I do. So how do we show up now? How do I show up now? There are many things as an entrepreneur, as a creative. There are places and things that I didn't have knowledge about. There are certain things in business I didn't have knowledge about previously. And I was so upset with myself, like beating myself up. And I was telling myself these stories, and just all of these different components of things and emotions would come up, and I had to let that go. Misunderstandings, people not understanding the vision. Everyone is not going to understand your vision. Everyone was not on the call when God gave you the vision. So you have to give yourself grace for even the times that you started swaying your vision because people didn't understand it, because you thought that this was the group that was going to understand the vision. Family, friends, and they're not. Some of them are not, because your vision is way bigger than you, and they don't understand how is that even possible, or how is it even going to get done. But you have to show up, and in order for you to show up, you have to give yourself grace. Grace for how you may have handled things previously. Grace for how you may have not set up things previously. Like, give yourself grace, baby. You're out here running a business. You're out here being a creative. For some of you, you have multiple streams of income. You have families. You are young. You're single. Some of you have partners. Like, there are so many different components of life. But give yourself grace. I've been giving myself grace as of lately, because I'm like, whoa, like, after my mom's passing, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have systems in place to say, well, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to go, and this is what's going to happen, and this is how we're going to navigate. I didn't have any of that. And I just kept showing up. Now, was I my essential self? No. Was I 100% myself? No. And people got to experience, there are some people that got to experience only a 5% version of who Khalil really is during that time. Was that my fault? No. I didn't even know who I was. When you lose a parent, when you lose someone really close to you, you literally feel lost. You feel like you don't even know who you are. You feel like there was a part of you that went with them. And so for you to expect yourself to show up 100%, it's just not going to happen. And people will have these demands, and people will put this authority on you, and people will put these commands on you because they just want you to get back to you, but they don't understand this is a whole new version of you. Therefore, for some of you, you have had things happen in your business. You've had things happen with your creativity, that something happened in your life, traumatic, and you didn't know what to do. And so you just tried to show up for everyone, or you tried to people please, or you just tried to do the best that you could. And it only crumbled you. It only made you suffer, because instead of you taking time for you, you thought that the medicine was to show up for everyone else. And that wasn't the case, because you were taught that. You were taught, just show up, just show up, just show up, just show up. But sometimes you have to recalibrate and go back to, what is even happening here? What do I need to, what's going on? Who am I in this moment? Define your chapters. I think one of the misconceptions with social media is that you feel like you got to be this on person in every season. And there are different seasons for everyone's life. Some people are in their growing season. Some people are in their expansion season. Some people are in their going forward season. Some people are in their learning season. Some people are in their winning season. Everyone is in a different season of their life. And I think social media sometimes tries to make you feel like everyone has to be on the same page. You have to be what everyone else is doing. And then you compare yourself, and then you don't realize that there are certain things that have happened to you that you have to work through. And so you start to put all of these stories and narratives and comparisons on yourself, and it don't even apply to you. What Johnny over here is doing, baby, Johnny is like, his life story is way different than yours. And you over here looking at this one page and that one page and this one page and this one page and that one page, that one page, this one page. For what? If you are not sane, if you're not feeling like yourself, then what? Comparing yourself to people who are at different races of life than you? Comparing yourself to people who are in different spaces than you? Give yourself grace, babes. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace that you didn't know. Give yourself grace that you have to let certain people go, even though you didn't want to, but you knew it wasn't healthy for you, and you know that it was not for you. Give yourself grace, because sometimes you feel guilty. Guilty because you have to turn down a client that you know is going to be a headache. Guilty because you have to turn down that friend that was basically making you just not the best version of yourself. Give yourself grace. Oh, my business is supposed to be in this place, and my creative is supposed to be in this place, and I'm supposed to have this many followers, and I'm supposed to do this, and I'm supposed to do that. And what? By whose measure? Whose measure are you measuring your success by? Like, that's the part that be crazy. I'm supposed to be here, and I'm supposed to be winning, and I'm supposed to be doing this, and I'm supposed to. You be telling your stories that, stop telling yourself some stories. Please, 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 please stop. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace so you can experience new in your life. Give yourself grace so you can be able to encounter new, beautiful experiences where you don't self-sabotage, or you don't sabotage opportunities or career moments because you still think of yourself as the little one over here. Or you still think of yourself as the failure business over there. Or you still think of yourself as who you were 10 years ago. It's a new day. It's 2023. It's a new year. Give yourself the grace to be the version of you that you know that you can be, and let that operate versus giving yourself this story of failure because you're looking at social media and what other people are doing in their backyards. And while you're looking at social media and other people in their backyards, your garden is dying. Pay attention to your garden. Baby, pay attention to your garden and water your garden again. Some of you have been so focused on failure and you have not given yourself grace that your garden looks a hot mess and your flowers are dying. And then you wonder why you can't go home and go to sleep peacefully because you have not attended to your garden. Water your garden again. You are looking at your garden and you trying to figure out what's going on because you have not attended to your garden. You've been scrolling on 5 hours trying to look at what everyone else is doing. Stop. They watering their garden. They going home. They getting their money while you looking at them. While you give them views and clicks. View and click your garden. You got something to say. You got something to give. Water your garden again. And give yourself grace to do it. You may have messed up the garden before. You may have let some people in that was watering your trees wrong. You may have let some people in that water your plants wrong. You may have let some people in that killed your garden. But start your garden over. I'm talking about metaphorically, spiritually, financially, mentally, emotionally, physically. Start over. And give yourself grace to start over. Okay? Thank you for listening to this episode. I know this is way different from what we've... Excuse me. I know this is way different from what we've been talking about. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, go ahead and watch tips on rebranding and my other episode on branding for the new year. Subscribe to this channel at Khalil Kavon. And yes, I love you. Be sure to book all your shoots for 2023, okay? Y'all make sure y'all book y'all shoots for 2023. We want you to look right over here, okay? 2023 all over the world, worldwide bookings and remote bookings are available now. Go to KhalilKavonStudios.com and be sure again to subscribe to this channel. And thank you so much for listening to and watching Kreative Radio with Khalil Kavon. Again, give yourself grace. Later.